All right, Shalom. We're the Hebrew Israelites. Come out here week in and week out. Prophesy the downfall of the daughter of Babylon, aka America. But first and foremost, I want to say call Halayim, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harakachadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of 7:13:19, where I learned this truth from, and who rule well. Salutations to the Bakiyar, the elect, the 144,000. That's 12,000 men from each of the 12 tribes of Israel. The 12 tribes of Israel consist of these so-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous of America. The 144,000 being the governing body within the 1/3. The rest of the 1/3 comprises of elect men, women, and children. Shalom to those Israelites scattered due to the diaspora and also the triangular trade. So our people come looking like different ethnicities, having various complexions. So it's not a black thing. We're not the black Hebrew Israelites. We're just Hebrew Israelites, man. Shalom to those that died in this truth. It says the dead should be raised up first. Those that will be accompanying Yahweh Shah on his return, including our king, King Marshah, who is King David. And as always, it's an honor and privilege, honor and blessing to continue to do this work. The water Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah Ba'ashem Harakachadash for answering my prayers and permitting me to do such. Baba Kashah Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah Ba'ashem Harakachadash allowed us to be an edifying camp to at least one member of the elect, man. Trying to think of a topic to go into after, watching a few brothers' videos, skimming through the news and reports of wars, and, reading the scriptures that said an end is coming. Well, the beginning stages, or as the song that's titled by the Smashing Pumpkins, the beginning of the end is beginning. The end is here. And you see all those scandals, those sexual deviant scandals that is being brought to the surface, just like dead bodies that is, tossed overboard. Specifically those so-called illegal immigrant bodies, and washing up the shores all the dirt of this damn devil, man. And Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is allowing his wickedness to come to light. Right? But first scripture, which this is Ezekiel chapter 7, I'll probably start at the top. It reads, "Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Also, thou son of man, thus saith Yahweh unto the land of Yashar'allah," which Yashar'allah meaning he is prince of the power. The name of the heavenly Father, Yahweh, means he is or he exists. Who the world inly calls Yahweh or, Jehovah, which there's no vowels, or the letter J is only 500 years old, so those couldn't possibly be his names. And it was fairly recent that he even revealed his name to his people. For a lot of the times he was only referred to as titles, right? Like terrible demon-like power, or I am, right? It says the end is come upon the four corners of the land, which that word land is singular, it's not plural. So, that land is talking about ultimately the land is talking about America, but you could equate it to the sinful kingdom, which is the 2/3 of our people, man. You know? So 2/3 of our people are going to be destroyed during these times, man. During the Civil War, during World War III, you know, during terrorist attacks, global financial collapse, you know, during mass starvation and famine, right? That's the land that the Most High is going to bring it into, is you wicked Israelites, man. You know? It says, now is the end come upon thee. And I should say that it's not just centered around America, man. You know? It's going to be you wicked Israelites all throughout the world, because judgment is coming throughout the whole world, man. It's not just going to be here in America. America's going to get the shit end of the stick, of course. With those warheads, you know, whack-a-mole in this place. Soon as the Edomite head pop up, whack-a-mole, you know, with a nuclear missile. You know, soon as a wicked nigga's head pop up, whack-a-mole with a nuclear missile, man. You know, that's the end that is coming to you people, man. And hey, Trump, all he has to do is give the okay to start this prophetic confrontation with the Persians, which changed their name to Aram, which means the land of the Aryans. You know? Which also highlights the fact that Esau stole that term Iranian. You know? Which Esau, all he's doing, he's so tacky right now. You know, all he's doing is a whole bunch of psyops. You know, a whole bunch of trickery. And he's not fighting fair, man. And the spirit, because sometimes you wrestle within your own thoughts. Why are these motherfuckers getting over so much? But it's all through the spirit. It's all through the will of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, man. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua hasn't got done with producing a bad taste in the world's mouth toward Esau, man. So real soon that judgment is coming, because you even see China and Russia, they're supplying Iranian or Iran with weapons. You know, I believe Russia said they're going to send Su-35 fighters. There's rumors that China sends some big toys too, man. And possibly even nuclear missiles. Especially those aircraft carrier missiles. Which now we're seeing that Esau's military, I'll say juggernaut, isn't as formidable as they won't stop. Because it's not going to take much. A hypersonic missile at that to flatline an aircraft carrier, man. All you got to do is damage the runway and those planes can't launch. You know, if you have a missile that can penetrate the hole, then that shit gonna sink, just like the Titanic, man. And it wouldn't surprise me if, you know, the Most High allowed the Leviathan to, you know, do a little damage on the low, man. Do some stealthy damage. You know? But it says now is the end come upon thee, and I will send my anger upon thee, and I will judge thee according to thy ways. So all the wickedness that our people have done, man, the adultery, you know, the murders, right? You know, the drug usage, you know, those different demons. Dude got a demon on him right now. You know? All the wickedness that you niggas perform, man, commit, you know, wherever you may be. Those things are going to be answered, man. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is going to bring judgment, right? And then, you know, hey, Barak Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, man. You know, because despite me being out here solo dolo, however many years, Ain't none of these wicked spirits tried me yet, man. You know, and I say that boasting, you know, in Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, giving him the glorification, man. You know, because you got all types of wicked demon that is on these people, man. You know? And how many times have these demons beaten up a lot of you niggas out there, man? You know? And even in the camp, you know, I could attest, even when I was in that day in Modesto, that motherfucker didn't want to fight. You know, the Most High put the spirit on him to stand by and stand down. You know, but what happens to, you know, these false prophets, man? You get your ass beat, man. And we're in a time where a lot of you are going to get your ass beat to death. Right? Because, hey, the unseen world, it don't know you. It don't know who the fuck you are. You know, you just a nigga that is just... the way you go about, you know, breaking down the scriptures is like almost chicken scratch, man. It's liking on the puke. You know, a lot of you that's bringing in these false doctrines. You know, a lot of you saying that Esau could make it. A lot of you that talk about the C-hip isn't the MOTB. You know, you're playing a out of note tune, man. You know, it says, and I will send my anger upon thee and will judge thee according to thy ways and will recompense, which means payback, upon thee all thy abominations. You know, your wicked acts. You know, and this is dealing with you Israelites, man. You know, the end is coming to your, you showing your ass, man. You know, sashaying. You know, in the eyes of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, thumbing your nose, thumbing, what does it say? Thumbing your finger at him? Or thumbing your nose at him? You know? So eventually he's gonna slap the shit out of you. You know? Because ain't none of you niggas right now, you ain't getting ready for, you know, the Shabbat that's coming in tonight, man. You getting ready for, you know, to do all types of manner of wickedness, man. You know? But continuing, it says, and my eye shall not spare thee, neither will I have pity, but I will recompense thy ways upon thee, and thy abominations shall be in the midst of thee, and ye shall know that I am Yahweh. Thus saith Yahweh, a evil and only evil, behold, is come. So that word evil is a compound word for bad times, man. You know, bad times are here, man. You know, just because the Most High is having extending a little bit of mercy on you doesn't mean he's giving that same mercy to someone else, man. You know, so sometimes your hell is not someone else's. Just because you can go to IHOP, wherever the fuck y'all eat at, you know, doesn't mean someone on the street that is more or less fortunate, their judgment is pure hell, man. Especially in states like this where, you know, they don't have a recycling program where they're gonna issue money, you know, for recyclables, right? So it's a more dire situation than some, man. Right? It says the end is come, it watcheth for thee. So this end, it watches for you, man. Just as we're watching for it. And the it that we're watching for are these prophecies, these signs, man. You know, that indicate that we're in the time of that end. We're in a time where there's going to be a lot of people just dying, man. A lot of people being put to death. You know, there's going to be missile attacks on America, and it could happen in any moment right now, man. You know, and that's when a lot of you are going to be afraid, man. You know, and there's gonna be a group of men that are gonna be celebratory, man. We're not gonna be afraid, man. We're not gonna be afraid of the terror that walks in the darkness or the terror by night, man. Because a lot of these niggas, they can't go 3 hours without eating, man. So what are they gonna do when there's a blockade on America, man? Because according to prophecy, you will have to wonder, where is America's military when these nations set themselves in battle array, according to Jeremiah, the 50th and 51st chapter, man? Where is the American military then? How come they're not, you know, contending against that, as, you know, Trump says, flotilla, which is not a flotilla, it's an armada. What are they going to do against that armada that besieges America, man, where nothing goes in and nothing comes out, man? You know? So all you people's hopes and dreams are going to be circling down the drain along with that big pile of shit. Because this is what America has produced. It produced a big pile of shit through, you know, great robbery and murder. And Esau, he's displaying, you know, his spirit that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua bestowed upon him of stealing everybody's shit, man. Of stealing your resources. You know? Stealing your oil. You know? Which is all a part of a psyop, because, you know, this technocratic society is not going to be ran by oil, man. Matter of fact, they want to do away with the petrol engine, man, and go into electric, so they'll be able to control where you go, man. You know, I believe, let me see if I still have it on my phone. Which, you know, I get a first sneak peek at some of the things, some of the technologies, you know, that they're trying to bring out when I do some of these shows. But, this is how they're gonna deliver to your house, man. Which is basically little robot cars, man, that's gonna deliver your goods to your house. And aligns with, I think, Carl Schwab, that said you will be happy and own nothing. You know? So, you know, the glitz and the glamour, that time is already done, man. The mirth here is done, man. You people don't got no future. Even even these Generation Zers, they're complaining about their comrades and how, you know, their generation is cooked, you know? But returning to Ezekiel chapter 7, verse 5, it says, "Thus saith Yahweh, evil and only evil, behold, is come. A end is come, the end is come. It watcheth for thee, behold, it is come. The morning is come unto thee, O thou that dwellest in the land. The time is come, the day of trouble is near, and not the sounding again of the mountains." You know, so the day of trouble is near. And, you know, what day does that remind you of? I don't know if this is in the precept bank, but I'm going to bring it out anyway. This is Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7. It says, "Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble." And Jacob is talking about you people on this sign, man. You so-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous, which for the most part, it's always been Jacob's trouble, man. As these be the days of vengeance, where the Most High is getting his payback against our people, man. But we're entering into the final stage, the time in which, you know, as it says in the book of Daniel, this is Daniel chapter 12, verse 1, it says, and at that time shall Michael, or Mayaka Allah, stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble. So there goes that word of trouble again. Going to the Etma online, the etymology of the word trouble from the 12th century produced mental agitation or emotional turmoil, right? So how do you counteract, right, mental agitation or emotional turmoil? You have to have stability in your mind, right? Going back to, real quick, Isaiah chapter 33, verse 6, it says, in wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time. So this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that was given to us by the mercies, which this is an extension of his mercy, giving certain men and certain women this truth. You know, to have the mind state in order to endure these times, man. Because even in JSOC, you have to have a certain mind state, because it all starts with the mind, right? To be able to be that elite, to be able to conquer those feats, you know? And the Most High has to give you that mind state. It's not something that, you know, you can just automatically go to a kaleidoscope store and purchase. No, the Most High gives you that mind state through how you were raised, through trials and tribulations, through the chastisement, and that's what this truth does. It molds you into that perfect man, that perfect woman that will have what they need to be able to stand in these days, man. Right? It says, in wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of Yahweh is his treasure. So the fear of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is a treasure, man. And that's what our people lack. They lack fear. You know? Just bear with me, I'm looking for a scripture. Let me just look for it. I know I'm in a... Alright. So this is Proverbs chapter 1, verse 7. It says, the fear of Yahweh is the beginning of knowledge. So you have to have fear of the Heavenly Father. You have to have fear of his power, of what he can do. And he does all things, man. Let me get this, because there's a notion that, you know, he's all good and he's not evil, and he's fighting the battle against evil. And the whole time, the one that been pushing that narrative down your throat, they're the evil, man. This is Isaiah chapter 45, verse 5. It says, I am Yahweh and there is none else. There is no power beside me. I girded thee, though thou hast not known me, that they may know from the rising of the sun, which is the east, and from the west, the western hemisphere, that there is none beside me. I am Yahweh and there is none else. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, Yahweh, do all these things. Right? Looking for a precept. Same verse. Scrolling down to verse 15, it says, "Verily thou art a power that hidest thyself." You know, so just because he hasn't revealed his power on you people on a massive scale, you don't think that there is a God, man. And these so-called white people, they reveal themselves as soon as you say the Bible is speaking against them, which deep down in their spirit they know it does. But as soon as they hear those words, they say, "Oh, it's a fairy tale." It's just a fairy tale at that point, man. Just showing you that they're the devil and they're liars, man. They don't even believe in the Bible, man. You know? But since Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua has, you know, to the unspiritual eye, because we see him every day. We see his glory, we see his power every day, but to the unspiritual eye, the sensual man, the carnal man, they think that he hid himself, man. Right? So therefore, the so-called white man who was Esau, and mind you, he started calling himself white in 1681 in Virginia due to the Bacon rebellions. Right? He wants you to believe that God is on his side, man. You know, the reason why he hasn't intervened in confrontation of, you know, Esau's wickedness. And this is the condition of the battle, man. And the reason why I say that, because, man, most of these highways and hedges, they don't have, you know, places where you can go to the restroom, man. Where if you have to go take a piss or a shit. So, you know, most of the times brothers be having to go to the bathroom, but they gotta hold it in, man, because this is no man's land, man. I don't do the work where, well, I do the work wherever the Most High leads my spirit to, but most of the time it be no man's land. And then when they did have the bathrooms, they had public restrooms, or they had porta potties, they ended up locking them all up, being a fucking devil. So when you pull the wang out, now they can charge you with S-roll crime, man, and register you as an S-fender, you know? But this is Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 11, that says, "Because sentence against the evil work is not executed speedily." So the works that, you know, you Edomites, you heathen nations, and 2/3 of our people do, you know, they're evil. And you think that you got away because judgment against those evil works wasn't executed speedily, man. Right? Therefore, the heart, which your heart is your mind, of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. Right? So now they're all for it, man. It's like an itch they gotta scratch. Especially these damn devils. They go to sleep thinking about how they're gonna be an evil MFer. Their plan, their scheme, what they're gonna do, and then when they wake up, they execute it. They put the plan in motion, man. Just like that bitch that made national news that got a slap on the wrist for breaking the bones of Jake infants. That was something that was concocted in her mind to do, man. That was evil plotted in her little demonic ass mind, you know, to go about to break the limbs of those infant Jake children, man. That was because, you know why? She kept doing it, man. You know, there's a level of redundancy in her actions, and that's the type of people that we're dealing with, man. You know, don't give these motherfuckers no mercy, man. Shit. And what I mean by that, don't give them the benefit of the doubt, man. You know, you treat them, you deal with them according to the scriptures, but don't think that, you know, they're gonna be able to turn a new leaf. Like they're gonna be able to change their spots like a leopard, man. They're not, man. What you have a lot of our people thinking, they think they could step in the shoes of the so-called nigga woman, or I could change him, I could reform him. No, man. You can't do away with, or change something that Yahweh Shem Yahushai has already set in motion, in place. If he's created to be the wicked, that's his rule, man. You got our people trying to save this damn devil, man. Sit on that. Let me see if I have anything left in Ezekiel. If not, I'll just go back to Copilot. I'll go to 7 12. Jumping down to verse 12. It says, this is Ezekiel chapter 7, verse 12. It says, the time is come, the day draweth near. Let not the buyer rejoice, nor the seller mourn, for wrath is upon all the multitude thereof. Which is paralleling what Ezra was saying, man. Let's go to 2nd Ezra. Chapter 16. Right, this is 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 40. It says, O my people, hear my word, make you ready to thy battle. So this is a battle that we're about to be in, man. It's gonna be nuts. Especially not having this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, man. If we didn't have the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, it would be fucking nuts. You know? See, these people's minds who are stuck on that Disney, television pre-programming bullshit, they don't know, and they're not equipped on how to deal with what's coming down the pike, man. As long as they have access to their comforts, their vices, they're good, man. But when you remove those things, that's when these people start to show their true colors, man. And you women out there, you're gonna just be the main focal point of the dead, man. Just like that movie Civil War, and dude asked the question, what type of American are you? Right? And then they pan the camera to the pit in which they were putting the dead bodies. There was a lot of women in that pit, man. A lot of you Jake women, man. A lot of you Jake women are going to be put to death in these days, man. The Most High has his death angels all around you. And that's why, you end up getting your asses beat and put in the hospital. Because the Most High, he sees your wickedness, man. Right? And good for your ass when you bitches die, when your children die. Your children are those fucking monsters that you raised that, they don't give a F about nothing. They don't care about shit. They Billy Badass until, they get smacked, man. And then that's when they want to look around like, who done it? Why they do it? And you see that all the time, man. The ones that are talking the most shit be these bitches, and the ones that are screaming the most when conflict arises are these bitches, man. Because it's all bullshit. They're trained how to act that way by being programmed by their fucking whore mama or their fucking fatherless, male figure that is among them, man. So when the Most High puts a speed on these people, he's gonna fold them the fuck up, man. They're gonna be trodden underfoot. Right? It says, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth. So let's go to the etymology, Etma online, and look at that word pilgrim. From the 12th century, pilgrim, a person traveling to a holy place, which, you know, the holy place that we're navigating toward is the extraction zone, man. Whatever particular extraction zone that the Most High has set up for you, for where those chariots levitate overhead. And as you know, the word being used now is abduction. When you're abducted or extracted into those chariots, man, those ships, in which the world inly calls UFOs, unidentified flying objects, or even UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, man. Right? So not only is this a big, massive action film, but at the end of it, there's a big extraction mission too, man. You know, at the nick of time, right? It says a person traveling to a holy place as a penance or to discharge some vow or religious obligation, or seeking some miracle or spiritual benefit. Also a traveler, generally a wayfarer. Let's look up the word wayfarer. So it's a compound word. Way, Old English, wake, road, path, course, or travel. Room, space, freedom of movement. The word fare, verb, Old English, faran, to journey, set forth, go travel, wander. Make one's way, also be, happen, exist, be in a particular condition. You know, so basically you're going to be going from here to there. You're not going to have a certain dwelling place, man. You know, that's how you're going to have to move when all hell break loose, man. When there's civil war, simultaneously when there's civil war, there's going to be World War III, right? So how you move is you don't move with the thought that you're going to stay in one, be sedentary in one place forever, man. You're going to be moving here, there, and everywhere, right? Verse 41, it says, he that selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away, and he that buyeth as one that will lose. And, you know, it depicts that in the movie, The Book of Eli, man. When he went into that shop, you know, to trade that cat oil for, I believe, some battery juice. You know? Because remember in the beginning of the movie, he killed the cat. Which till this day, I still don't believe he was blind. I just think he could read Braille, you know, but to each his own. That's how they wrote him in the movie. That's how they wrote him in the movie. But, you know, just as Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai has set up life to be a movie, he has certain individuals within that movie, within the script, that got plot armor, man. Just as Eli had plot armor in the Book of Eli. You know? Let me go ahead and look up that word for you. The word for plot armor. And this ain't some stuff that you're gonna get watching Fresh and Fit, man. You know, they ain't gonna tell you shit about how to be rich, how to get money. You know, despite the fact that it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to make it into the kingdom of heaven, man. And why is that? Because your mind is fixated on your riches. You know, when I was being mentored around 17, 18 by this millionaire, he told me straight up, man, you know, millionaires or people with money, you know, all they care about is how to make more money. It becomes a game to them. You know, especially if you have rich millionaire friends, you want to try to, it's almost a competition on who's richer. That's why a lot of these executives, these individuals with that are high earners, they end up killing themselves when they lose their riches, man. And it'll be like a couple of billion, despite them being worth 100 billion, man. Because that's what their mind is on. That's where their heart is. So it doesn't say plot armor in the Etmel, so I'll just get it online. It's more so of a new word that they came up with. So the meaning of plot armor is used to refer to the phenomenon in fiction whereby the main character is allowed to survive dangerous situations because they are needed for the plot to continue. Right? So there's certain men, women, and children that have plot armor in this lifetime, man. They're needed for this plot to continue, to fulfill prophecy. Y'all shall rock the zombie of that number. Right? So going back to 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 42, it says, he that occupy merchandise as he that have no profit by it, and he that buildeth as he that shall not dwell therein. You know, and then you got these different camps talking about building these schools and purchasing land and all this other stuff, which is, you know, counterproductive, considering that all those schools and all that land is going to be destroyed, man. Not only is America going to get hit with thermonuclear missiles, but it's also going to get shaked, rattled, and rolled by a massive earthquake. Also, the water from the tsunamis and the earth reeling to and fro, right? So what do you think is going to happen? It's going to be a massive Grand Canyon-sized crater in that land that you ain't gonna be able to do shit with. You know, that's gonna be a new 7 wonder. Because all those 7 wonders are gonna be done away with. There's gonna be new wonders of the earth after this earth is reformed, man. Right? Verse 43, he that soweth as he that should not reap, dealing with those that plant crops. You know, there's reports of these farmers saying, to hell with planting crops. We're getting out of the business. You know, we're losing our labor force. We're losing our cheap labor because of ICE and these immigrants. And then I believe there was a country that stopped purchasing from the United States. Which that's what this damn devil is trying to do. He's trying to consolidate power, man. That's why he's attacking Venezuela. That's why he's going after Iran, so he could stop, you know, that alliance, that cooperation between Iran, China, and Russia. I think the word is proprietors. Esau, he wants to be the sole proprietor of the earth. Let me make sure I'm saying that word right. Proprietor. Which a proprietor is an owner, especially of a business, land, or property, often with exclusive rights and management control, such as a hotel, store, or even a newspaper. In legal and business context, it commonly refers to a sole proprietor, an individual who owns and runs an unincorporated business where there's no legal distinction between the owner and the business itself, meaning the owner is personally liable for all debts and keeps all profits. So Esau, he wants to keep all profits, man. He wants to be able to regulate what these heathen nations could do. And that's what's driving these heathen nations mad, man. Because of his madness, his bullshit. Verse 44, it says, they that marry as they that shall get no children. And that marriage comes through sex. So you might find you the Most High, I should say it like this. The Most High might direct your steps and join you on to a woman, but you gotta pray that you don't get no children from it. Or you're popping her, hoping that you don't get no children from her on this side. But even if you did, if you're of the elect, then, your whole household is going to be protected. But for some, it's going to be a burden, as it reads in the Luke, the 21st chapter, dealing with what happened 2,000 years ago. I'll get it right now. This is Luke chapter 21, verse 22. Now, mind you, this happened 2,000 years ago, but history repeats itself. It says, for these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. Right? But woe, which woe means destruction, unto them that are with child, those that are pregnant, and to them that give suck, those that are nursing, in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land and wrath upon this people. Right. So you can't go into it having the mind state, or I'm doing this to make a child out of it. And playing daddy daycare. No, if you're gonna join yourself onto a woman these days, it has to be strategic. And it has to be, you have to be looking for an elect lady. One that is set up to bring forth, righteous seed, man. Not none of these bimbos that you might get off with on a jump off. It says, that's it on that. That's the point. But I'm going to go back to AI. It says the end is come. The end is come. The Hebrew word end is kates, quats, root sense, extremity, limit, the furthest point, termination. Overlay, not just something will eventually stop, but the appointed boundary has been reached. And it talks about that, man. When it goes into the word bounds. This is saying Job chapter 14, verse 5. Seeing his days are determined. So Esau's days are determined, man. This place's days are determined. And you see the determination of that on the news. If you're watching the news, right? It says the number of his months are with thee. Who are they with? They're with the Heavenly Father. He's the one that dictates when these nations fall and when these nations rise. And right now we're at the decline, we're at the fall of a nation, man. Thou has appointed his bounds, his limits, right, that he cannot pass. He's not going to be able to pass the appointed limit of his rule, man. And we're in the time in which his rule is going to have its end, right? Going back to AI, not just something will eventually stop, but the appointed boundary has been reached. It watcheth for thee. Hebrew watcheth, from root, I believe it's tazafah, to look out, keep watch, lie in wait. You know, so the end for you niggas is lying in wait for you, man. Like a predatorial animal, like an ambush animal. You know, you could think about a leopard, man. A leopard ambushes its prey, it lies in wait. You know, you could say a cheetah. You know, a cheetah sometimes stalks its prey and waits for the opportune time to spot the sick and the weak before it executes its attack plan, man. Same thing with wolves, same thing with lions, animals that hunt in packs, right? It says the end is not passive. It's like a watchman or a hunter actively approaching. The day of trouble is near. Hebrew trouble, Mahama. Contextually, Tazara, tumult, panic, distress, siege. Right, they're gonna siege these cities, man. They're gonna lock down these cities. They're gonna gain control of the food supply, the water supply, and they're gonna ration it off to those who they think is desirable, man. Which a lot of you that are undesirable, your immune system is heavily compromised by what they gave you in 2020, man. So we're expecting a lot of you, just by, you know, getting those different jabs, to be dropping dead, man. You know? It says overlay, the end is characterized by pressure, confusion, and no escape routes. Right, so who are you people going to run to? You going to run to Jesus? That same MFer that they were praying to when they were chopping you up and eating your flesh, sitting on the furniture that they made out of you? Or are you going to call on Yahweh Shai, man, who is the living power, man, that's coming back to save his people and punish his enemies? You know? Next scripture going to say Matthew chapter 24 verse 14. It says, in this gospel of the kingdom, which the gospel going into good news, right? We're telling you that the people on this sign, they're going to be the next to rule, and we're going to rule in righteousness. We're going to experience good. And we're going to have the recollection, because we're going to be we're going to have the mind to remember as gods all things, including our past life. We're going to know what evil is, man. We're going to know and have it in our spirit the consequence of what it is to be disobedient to the Heavenly Father and His Son, man. It says, in this gospel, the kingdom shall be preached in all the world. And, you know, the internet, the unicorn, it did the heavy lifting, man. So therefore, you know, you can upload a video on YouTube You know, and it will reach those, or you could be in the Americas and it'll reach those in the Philippines, or in China, or in Japan. You know? It says, for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. So now the end is coming. As you know, this truth has been out since 1969. So that's why you see the things speeding up, man. And what's been taking them down? This word, man. This is the book of Zephaniah, chapter 1, verse 14. It says, the great day of Yahweh is near. It is near and hasteth greatly. So it's fastly approaching, man. You know, as I always said, as each and every day passes, it's coming. And what's coming? The end, man. You know, not no fucking Ron Jeremy, man. The end is coming, man. Even the voice, which the voice is the prophets. You know, on the street corners all throughout the world, proclaiming the words of the Heavenly Father, being ambassadors for the King. Right? It says, even the voice of the day of Yahweh, the mighty man shall cry there bitterly. So even you mighty men, you strong men, you military men, you men that are well off, that got the power to, you know, move your money around and make shit happen, you're gonna be crying in these days bitterly, man. And then your woman's gonna be mad that she fell for a sucker. Little hoe. Which the mass majority of you men out there are a bunch of bitches anyway. You a bunch of Disney niggas too, man. There's Disney niggas too, just like there's Disney bitches. It says that day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, a day of the trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers, which that's dealing with these superpowers, man, and these different governments. And I will bring distress upon men that they shall walk like blind men. They're not going to know what's going on, man. You know? Because they have sinned. Which sin is transgression against the law, man. Which the only ones that could sin is the Israelites. But then you have Esau that took upon the scriptures saying that they were him. So now they apply to him. Let's get that real quick. This is Psalms chapter 50. Verse 16, it says, but unto the wicked, as there's three classifications of men. You have the sons of God, which is the Israelites. You have the sons of men, which are these heathen nations. And you have the sons of the wicked, which are these Edomites, who started calling themselves white in 1681 due to the Bacon rebellions, man. Which they're not white, they're red, man. Their blood shows forth through their skin. They're translucent. That's why they have terms called redneck and so on and so forth. You know? It says, but unto the wicked the Most High saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? Seeing thou hatest instruction. So he's programmed to hate instruction, man. You know? So what makes you think that you, charming never so wisely, toward these devils, you're gonna be able to prevail, man? When they're not created like that, man. It says, and casteth my words behind thee. As you can see, he casteth the words of this holy Bible behind him. He says it's a fairy tale. In all actuality, it's a history book, man. It's a book of remembrance. And, you know, it's written in the way it's written, so it can't be understood by the masses. So it only can be understood by the elite of the people on this sign, the elect. Just like it's understood by the elect of the wicked. That's why they have to, or that's why they need to be able to know the truth in order to be able to tell a lie. You know? It says, when thou sawest a thief, then thou consentest with him, and has been partakers with the adulterers. And I believe when he saw us a thief, it was talking about the time of the Babylonians, you know, when they destroyed the first temple. It says, thou givest thy mouth to evil, and, you know, they wet their tongue through their legislation, through their television, you know, through their propaganda, right? Trying to paint such and so as evil and a threat to what they deem humanity, which the only way you could be human is if you're colored. Because the word human is a compound word, which means colored man. You know, so as soon as you start studying these damn devils as they study you, then the world opens your mind to the truth. Then you see the different witchcraft, because they're heavy into sorcery. You see the different colors and the color schemes that they use on purpose. You see the reason why these women are all fucked in the mind. These men are all fucked in the mind. These kids need to be put to death. It's nothing but chaos. It's chaotic. Right? It says, in thy tongue frameth deceit. So their tongue frameth deceit, man. So now, fast forward in 2026, now they're revising all the bullshit that they've been forcing down everybody's throat, man. You know, one notably being the food chart. Now it's supposed to be inverted, which when you go into the scriptures, it tells you how to eat. How come they don't use the scriptures? Because they're not honest. They're not truthful. They're not trustworthy. They don't believe in the scriptures, man. Despite them saying, oh, we're the Christians, or we're the Jews. And they don't align with they don't align with prophecy. They don't align with those characteristics on who those people were. They don't have the same customs. You know, the thing that they carry with them is the same spite, you know, for Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, because they sold their birthright, man. And I believe there's books that even mention that's their fucking problem, man. But too bad, man. He was rejected before the foundation of the earth. Just in case my point of in case with me, you know what I'm saying? I can't help keep coming out here. I was supposed to be back in the world 13 years ago, but through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, it's not because of me. It's not because I'm trying to be something that I'm not. I only could be what I am, man. You know? And like I always pray, if I'm not a man of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, allow me to go back to the spiritual world. Put me to death. You know? So you can only be what you are. And Esau can only be the liar that the Bible speaks of, the devil that the Bible speaks of, the accuser, the deceiver that the Bible speaks of, man. Verse 20, it says, thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, thou slanderest thy own mother's son. Right, his mother was who? Wasn't it not Rebecca? And her son was Jacob, wasn't it? So despite these devils supposed to be, you know, our uncle, you know, he wants us destroyed, man. So you should already know the condition of the battle just off of that. They want you dead, then, hey, you got to treat that accordingly, man. Verse 21, these things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Going back to judgment not executed speedily. You know, going back to a God that hideth himself. So Yahweh Shem Yahushai has kept silence despite this damn devil running amok. You know, thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself. So in their mind, they think God is with them, man. But in all actuality, he's letting them run up their tab, man. To meet the judgment that is ordained for them, predestined for them, man. Which is a harsh judgment, man. It's it's not even a harsh judgment. It's a very needed judgment, man. You know? It says, but I will reprove thee, which is going into correcting, and he's correcting the world, I should say, with the spirit of his mouth through the prophets, starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, man. GMS. Which before you be like, oh yeah, see, he's losing the spirit, he's not calling on GMS anymore. I do call on GMS. It's just 7-13-19. The letter G is the seventh letter. The letter M, you should know if you watch that gangland shit. The letter M is the representative 13, and the letter S is 19, man. You know, I retained everything. It says, and set them in order before thy eyes. So through the elect, we're being set in order, man. You know, through the elect, that enmity between the northern and the southern kingdom is being, you know, done away with. You can't say that to these 2/3 niggas. They hate each other. You got niggas that hate Mexicans. You got Mexicans that hate niggas, and they are all two peas in the same pod. One's just a little bit light-skinned than the other, and that's only because they're here in America, man. There's darker so-called Mexicans in Mexico than there are in America, man. Blacks in America. But yet they're fighting over each other just as their enemy wants them to. It's called divide and conquer, man. But the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai is starting to do away with all that. It says, now consider this, ye that forget the Most High, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Whosoever offereth praise glorifieth me, and to him that ordereth his conversation aright. So our conversation is being ordered aright, man. And matter of fact, if it's not out here or if it's not doing sit downs, this is the most I talk throughout the week, man. You know? It says, will I show the salvation of the Most High, of the power. You know, so Esau, he hateth instruction, man. Next precept, the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2. I'll start at the top, but the point is in 3. According to AI, it says, this is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 1, I will stand upon my watch. And this is us standing upon our watch. You know, bringing the scriptures out, bringing the truth out. Unadulterated, man, without gimmicks and glam. You know? And set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will show unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision, which is these prophecies, and make it plain upon tables, that he may run the race that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but we're in that time now. But at the end it shall speak. We're at the end right now. And it's speaking and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. So it's here, man. The end is here. So going to St. Matthew. This is St. Matthew chapter 24, verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately. So it's not for everybody, man. This word is not universal. You know, that's why he set his disciples as students to the side and told them, you know, those private interpretations, those riddles, those parables that he told to the masses, man. Because this word is only for the elect. It says, saying, tell us when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. You know, so there's going to be a lot of people saying that they're anointed, that they got the juice, that, you know, they're the son of God. And a lot of you people going to fall for it, especially the nigga woman, man. Especially these women, man. And then when the women go, that's when these boneheaded niggas is gonna go. You know, last week there was a weirdo nigga running around, doing laps, doing sprints, trying to impress these bimbo hoes, man. Nigga will go through the lengths just to impress a whore, man. Just, you know, get your money out and do what you gotta do, man. Get it over with. It says, and ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars, which is reports. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. You know, so we had that period already, man. You know, a lot of you just came in late in life. You know, but despite you being born a little bit closer to the end, you can always look at the history and see all those different wars that led up to this. Because Esau, he can't help but do wickedness. He can't help not to try to extinguish peace in the earth, man. You know? It says, see that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and the big one right now is the United States versus Israel, man. Which a lot of the times you gotta think beyond the hubris of these damn devils, man, and go into their actual war track record. And see that they never won one. You know, it's just pride and arrogancy that props them up, props their image up. And they're still living off the fruits of when they dropped those bombs on a surrender in Japan. Just because Japan didn't go to the white boy here in America, they went to the Russians to try to surrender. They still dropped those 2 bombs on them, man. On Hiroshima and Nagasaki, fat boy and little boy, man. Showing you that they're the damn devil. And they wanted to show the world that, oh yeah, we got this technology, man. And we want your riches. And the only reason why they got set up the way they did is because they stole the jewels of God, which was a quote that was quoted out of the mouth of Adolf Schutengruber, man, which later his name was changed to Hitler through his, I believe, his stepfather through a clerical error, but he was a son of a Rothschild, man. That's why his mom was working for one of the Rothschilds and was sent home pregnant, man. Therefore producing Adolf, who's a so-called Jew. You know, so that whole narrative of them suffering in the Holocaust, that was probably the people on this sign that was in those concentration camps, man. And all they did was change places, man. Change narratives. Change the story. Because how can you be an enemy of a state that is already ran by you? These devils run the world. It says, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. That word diverse meaning various, man. And like I said, let me look it up right now since I ain't doing nothing. Global activity, total earthquakes. The Earth experienced roughly 677,000 earthquakes of magnitude 2.0 and above in 2025 alone, man. So the scriptures ain't speaking. It's a fairy tale to you niggas. You pieces of shit. You know, I get real contentious when it comes to, about Yahweh Shah, man. You know, I could see why he said if it was his kingdom, his servants will fight, man. We're fighting right now. Verse 8, it says, all these are the beginning of sorrows. So all these are the beginning of sorrows, man. And that's when these stupid women are going to get in line, man. But for a lot of them, it's going to be too late. They don't listen. They don't got no respect for their man. That they have the audacity to let, you know, bust all up in them, which is counterproductive and retarded. Here it is. You can you have this man that you try to you allow to go up in you raw and bust in you raw, and then you want to jump on another rod on the cock carousel, man. Most High is gonna deaden all that, man. He's gonna put an end to all that, man. And that's why judgment happens to you people, man. The Most High puts a demonic spirit on a motherfucker to do something bad to you, man. You know? So going back to AI, it says, end of the world, the Greek Santelia nos Santelia, completion, consummation, finishing together, alone, age, era, world order, not just a physical globe. What are they trying to set up? The technocratic New World Order, right? Overlay, the end is the closing of a system, an age, and we're at the end of the an age, man. Right? It says not annihilation of existence, so it's not talking about the end of the whole world. It's talking about the end of this man's system, man, the Western world. Which thrives off of Satanism, man, on the guise of being pure, being Bible-driven, which is all lies. It says sorrows, Greek Odin, birth pains, labor pains. Overlay, the end is like contractions, intense, increasing, but leading to a birth, new order. Precept links deceive many. Let's get that in Second Thessalonians. This is Second Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. It says, let no man deceive you. Right? And that's what's going on right now among Israel. You got these false prophets deceiving the people, man. All because they want a bag. All because they know that they're pieces of shit. And even if you were a piece of shit, why don't you just be different for once and do the right thing, man? Right? It says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first. Which this was something that was an issue 2,000 years ago when they thought Yahushua was going to bring in the kingdom right then and there. Not knowing that we were going to discontinue from our heritage, we were going to be destroyed for lack of knowledge and brought over to this side of the world to serve captivity together with the northern kingdom. And that man of sin be revealed, and that man of sin is Esau, the son of perdition. That word perdition goes into destruction. Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High. Right? Or that is worshipped, so that he as the Most High sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High. And that's why he paints his images and wants everybody to reverence him as a God, and that the host of heaven looks like him, you know, which is all false, which is all lies, man. Going to the book of Joel. This is Joel chapter 3, verse 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, which the Gentiles represent the heathen nations. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. So these nations have been preparing war, man. When you got 16 Chinese cargo ships going to Iran, and you got a handful of Russian cargo ships going to Iran, they're preparing for war, man. When you got those, as Trump says, flotillas going to the Persian Gulf, they're preparing for war. It says, beat your plowshares into swords. And that's them merging into a industrialized, you know, era of economics. From a more agricultural time period of economics, man, where they were more so making money agriculturally until they started to build these factories. So now they have these factories in which they could build their war machines. It says, in your pruning hooks and the spears, let the weak say, I am strong. And the countries that were once weak, now they're saying they're strong because they have that nuclear missile technology, man. And Iran does have missiles that can hit America. You know? So a lot of you, at any moment now, you could expect to have one of these major cities attacked, and it might have a nuclear payload. Because you have to remember that the Heavenly Father is tired of this place. And also, he's speeding the days up, man. And that's going to be the ultimate false flag to get this whole country under martial law. And that's when the real fun is going to begin. It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh, which are the angels. Let the heathen be wakened, these heathen nations, and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, which is in the Levant. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. And how is he going to judge these heathens? Through death and destruction, man. This is Romans chapter 8, verse 22. It says, for we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now. So the whole creation is travailing, man. Right? The whole creation groaning. Next precept, this is 2 Peter's chapter 3, verse 9 and through 12. It says, Yahweh Shai is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness. Right, because they think that he's taking his time, man, and he's not. But is long suffering to usward, to who? The elect, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. Because each and every member has their own time of coming into this truth, man. And those times, those measures that measure has to be fulfilled, man. That the elect have to be sealed, which they're already sealed, we believe. I believe too. It says, but the day of Yahweh Shai will come as a thief in the night. Yeah, when you least expect it, and these people are not expecting it, man. You know, they don't know what the hell is going on. In the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. And this is talking about the nuclear destruction. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burnt up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness, looking for and hastening unto the coming of the day of the Most High, wherein the heavens, being on fire, shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. And there's no nuclear fire hotter than there's no fire hotter than a nuclear fire, which is ultimately a cleansing agent. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness. Wherein dwelleth righteousness, man. Not this bullshit that is on this side, man. Going to key words, day of the Lord, Greek, Hemera Kario, not a 24-day only, a period of divine intervention and judgment. Elements, Greek, Stoikeia, basic components, rudiments, elemental principles. Overlay, not just atoms. Okay, here, AI going off, but it's talking about the split into atoms. But the foundational structure of this world order, systems, powers, and arrangements, melt with fervent heat. Greek, Lathi Sote, Kasumene, Lathi Sonote, be loose, dissolved, broken up. Kasumene, being burned, set on fire. The end is a dissolving of the current structure by intense judgment, not random chaos. Real quick, this is 1 Thessalonians. I kind of feel the heat raising the back of my hairs on the back of my head up, man. But this is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 2. I'll start at the top. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of Yahushua so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. And are they not trying to proclaim peace and safety with the peace board that Trump is trying to construct? So it's gonna happen as a thief in the night, man, when those nuclear missiles bombard this place, man. This is Isaiah chapter 34, verse 1. It says, "Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation, which is the righteous anger of Yahweh, is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies." Now this is foreshadowing. He have utterly destroyed them. He have delivered them to the slaughter. So all you nations' militaries are going to be destroyed, man. No ifs, ands, buts about it. Their slain also be cast out. Slaki, their slain, their dead, also shall be cast out. And their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood. So there's going to be a lot of dead, man. And all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, which looks like a mushroom cloud. And all their hosts shall fall down because of the EMP effect, man. As the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a falling fig from the fig tree, in an arcing motion, or an arcing projection. For my sword, which is the nuclear missile, the ICBM, or even the hypersonic missiles, shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, which is the Greek or Latin way of saying Edom. It says, and upon the people of my curse to judgment. You know? This is Revelation chapter 6, verse 13. It says, and the stars of heaven fell onto the earth, which that's talking about those missiles. Even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs, when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. Because there's going to be a massive earthquake, man, a worldwide earthquake, in result of these nuclear missiles. Going to 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, verse 7, it says, then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, because Esau was the first one to come out. That represented he was going to be in rulership first, but Jacob held his heel because Jacob is going to pull him out of his power through Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. Verse 9, it says, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So Esau, he's the end of the world, man. So going to key words, parting asunder of the times, concept, a split, division, cutting between ages. Overlay, the end is a transition point. One rulership closing, another opening. End of the world, again, Santelia, end of the age concept. Esau is the end, Jacob is the beginning. The end is tied to rulership transfer from one power structure, from one people / power structure to another. Rulership transfer. This is the book of Daniel. Chapter 7. I'm going to read verse 18 and 19. It says, "But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever." Forever, man. We're never going to go down, man. 27. "And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him." So the Israelites are going to be the ones that are ruling. The Israelites are the people on this sign, man. Whether you like it or not, nobody cares. Nobody cares as you want them to care. This is Genesis chapter 25, verse 23. It says, "And Yahweh said unto her, Two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels." Right, and that's Jacob and Esau. "And the one people shall be stronger than the other people," which is Jacob. "And the elder shall serve the younger." So the elder was Esau, is going to serve the younger, which is Jacob, man. So you so-called white people, you're going to be the slaves of the Negroes that you hung and you ate and you fed to alligators and so on and so forth. Telling us to get over it. It was a long time ago. Okay, well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that works out for you when you suffer 1,000 years of slavery and then gathered up and exterminated. This is Romans chapter 9, verse 10. "And not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Isaac," which was Yahushua, it says, "For the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil," because everything's already predestined, "that the purpose of the Most High according to the election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth." But of him that calleth, right? "It was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger." So the elder shall serve the younger, as it is written, "Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated." So the Heavenly Father, he hates Esau, man. So going to St. Matthew, chapter 13, verse 39. It says, "The enemy that sold them is the devil," the accuser, the deceiver, right? Esau. Let me see if I can start up. I'll start at verse 37. It said, "He answered and said unto me, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, which are the elect," right? "But the tares are the children of the wicked one." And that's through great and intermingling. So you might have a jet black nigga that line go back to Esau, man. Or you could have a Snow White Powder from the movie Powder. looking individual whose line goes back to King David. It says, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of the world. Or so shall it be in the end of this world, this age. So those tares are going to be burnt in the fire, man. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire, whether it be the nuclear fire from the nuclear missiles, or it may be from the chariots, the lasers. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who have ears to hear, let him hear. Right? Key words, Greek, derismos. Reaping, cutting down, gathering. What has grown to full maturity. Right? So, that's what Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is waiting on, for things to grow to its full maturity. Same thing as dealing with wickedness, man. It has to feel to its measure before he reacts to it. It says the end is not random, it's the scheduled reaping of what has been sown. Tares, Greek, zizenia, Zizanion, weeds that resemble wheat but are false. Overlay, the end exposes what looked real but wasn't. And this is dealing with the people. Gather out all things that offend, Greek, scandala, stumbling blocks, traps, causes of falling. Overlay, the end is a cleansing, removing everything that causes stumbling. Right? Let me see how much, see what time it is. So going to Joel, chapter 3, verse 13, it says, put ye in the sickle, right? For the harvest is ripe, come, get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Also Revelation, chapter 14, verse 14, it says, and I looked, and behold, a white cloud, which this is dealing with a so-called UFO, and upon the cloud one sat like the Son of Man, who the world inly calls Jesus Christ, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe, which is it's the death angels that are going to come. And he that sat on the cloud, that's why they call him the Grim Reaper, Yahushua. It says, and he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, Thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. Which those grapes are the people. And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of the Most High. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress even onto the horses' bridles, which is typically anywhere between 5 and 6 feet, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. You know, which, man, let me see if AI could, because I went into this a long time ago, and it equates to a couple hundred miles. You know, let me see if, wait till AI gets to finishing up. Okay, it says a horse's bridle is roughly 4 to 5 feet high. I think I said 5 to 6. Okay, there we go. 1 furlong is 1/8 of a mile. 1,600 furlongs equals 200 miles, man. So 4 to 5 feet high, 200 miles worth of blood, man. So going to say Matthew chapter 25. Verse 31. It says, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. And before him shall he be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, which are the righteous spirits, but the goats on the left. So the wicked spirits are going to be set on the left-hand side. Right? Next precept, this is Romans chapter 13. Verse 11, it says, and that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believe. And how do we know that? Because we see the prophecies taking place, unfolding, right? The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. You need to put on that armor of light, man. Key word time, Greek, kairos, appointed season, critical moment, opportune time. Overlay, not just clock time. This is strategic window. This is a strategic window. At hand, Greek in geekin, has drawn near, is approaching, is almost here. The end is not just someday, it's pressing in. Awake out of sleep. Brings us to Ephesians chapter 5, verse 14 through 16, it says, wherefore he saith, awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead. You know, this dead state. And a Mashiach shall give thee light. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. So we're living in bad times, man. So we have to redeem the times. This is Hebrews chapter 10, verse 25. Not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as ye see the day approaching, right? For if we sin willfully after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins. And you sinning willfully is you going back into the world, man. Because, you know, when you come out here, basically you're sacrifice, you're presenting a sin sacrifice, a sin offering to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, man. You know, when you come out here on the highways and hedges. Now, if your sin offerings ain't no good, he's going to spew you out of his mouth. He's going to send your ass right back into the world, man, to be destroyed. This is verse 27, but a certain fearful looking for of judgment and fiery indignation which shall devour the adversaries. So, key words, the word for end, which I already explained, but I'll just read the overlay. It says the end is not just stopping, it's the point where the purpose is fulfilled and the assignment is complete. So we're approaching that day where the purpose is fulfilled and the assignment is complete, man. The word world goes back to cosmos. End of the world equals end of a system / age, not the end of existence itself. You know, the word for time, chronos, clock, time, duration. Also the Greek kairos, appointed season, decisive moment. The end is a kairos moment, a appointed season where everything converges. The word for day, yom, day, period, time, season. Also Greek, hemira, day, daylight, period. Day of Yahushua, a period of divine intervention and judgment, not just 24 hours. Second Ezra, chapter 4, verse 36. It says, and unto these things Uriel, the archangel, gave them answer and said, even when the number of seeds is filled in you, for he have weighed the world in the balance. By measure have he measured the times, and by number have he numbered the times, and he doth not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. So each and every last prophecy has to be fulfilled. Key words, measured the times. The end is not random, it's mathematically, spiritually, and prophetically measured until the said measure be fulfilled. There is a fixed quota of events, wickedness, and prophecy that must be completed. Right? So let's go to Matthew, quick precepts. Say Matthew chapter 5, verse 18. It says, for verily, which means surely, I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle, which is like the smallest letter in the alphabet, shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. So all things got to be fulfilled. Another quick precept, Luke chapter 21, verse 22. For these be the days of vengeance. So this is a new day of the days of vengeance. What's happened in these times? That all things which are written may be fulfilled. Right? So with that, that's all I had on that. So with that, I hope at least one brother of the elect was edified. And I know the Shabbat's coming in tonight. I want to say Shabbat Shalom.